Excellent. Good evening, all, and welcome to the first meeting of the Downtown Vancouver Community Working Group for the Interstate Bridge Replacement Program, otherwise also known as IBR for short. And there goes your first terminology of the night. IBR is what we use to represent the Interstate Bridge Replacement Program. Now, I see about half of us have joined in so far. So as folks continue to trickle in and get their cameras and audio ready to go, here's a few housekeeping reminders to get us all settled. If you haven't yet, please put yourself on mute to avoid any echoes throughout the meeting. Also, we invite you to have your camera on to encourage the most engaging participation tonight. In the virtual room this evening, in addition to community working group participants, CWG participants, we also have a number of technical staff and program partners. As such, we encourage you to rename yourself, noting CWG after your name to let folks know you are a member of the community working group. You may also add your pronouns if you would like. You can rename yourself by hovering over your name and clicking on the three dots that you'll see, select rename. And if you have any questions or trouble renaming yourself, feel free to put any questions you may have on the chat box. Now, looking at the numbers, I think we are ready to officially kick this into gear. So let's do it. Again, welcome to the Downtown Vancouver Community Working Group for the Interstate Bridge Replacement Program. Thank you for your time tonight. My name is Monica Santos Panacho, and I'll be your facilitator this evening. This meeting is streaming live on YouTube with closed captions available in English and Spanish within Zoom and YouTube. Users can follow the link on the screen now to view both English and Spanish captions in a separate browser window. The link is ibr.news/captions. For those of you joining on Zoom, to access closed captions, look at the bottom middle of your screen. You should see a menu of options. If you can't see the menu, hover your mouse over the bottom middle of the screen and then look for the closed caption icon. It'll note SCC on the top, and that should appear there. Next slide. Now, your participation on Zoom is critical. As such, American Sign Language interpretation is available. We ask that you please join audio by either phone or computer, not both. And again, we encourage participants to have your videos turned on. I see some of you are joining us by phone, so please dial *9 to raise your hand. After you have been invited to speak, dial *6 to unmute yourself. Please keep your audio on mute when not speaking to avoid any echoes again. If you experience any technical difficulties, please use the Zoom chat feature or call the number on your screen. That number is 360-329-6744. Again, that number is 360-329-6744. You can also use the chat box for any questions, and our team will be actively monitoring the box to help you there. With that, it is my pleasure to introduce Assistant Program Administrator Frank Green, who is going to say a few words. Frank, please take it away.
Thank you, Monica. Can you hear me? Make sure, double check.
Yep.
Okay, great. Well, I want to say thank you to everyone who's joining us tonight. This is an exciting opportunity for the program team to work directly with the community, to gain important feedback, to have discussions. Tonight's meeting is the first meeting we'll have with this working group. So we'll touch upon some of the previous work that and discussions that have been had around the bridge, But really, we're focused on what we're going to be moving forward with, and there's going to be some breakout sessions that we're going to look for, important feedback and input from all of you. So I thank you first and foremost for taking time out of your evening to participate and to provide that valuable input. And the Interstate Bridge Replacement Program is a big program here between the Portland Vancouver metro region, and it really does connect the communities across the Great Columbia River here. And this working group specifically is going to be looking to Vancouver and how the I-5 bridge connects to Vancouver, how this replacement bridge would connect. And so, feedback input along, what's going to make the Vancouver community, strive and continue to develop and maintain, the upward trajectory that Vancouver has with a lot of the development that's had, will definitely be beneficial. And so we've looked to you as part of the community to help us with input that will help us, move forward some of the design options and ideas that ultimately will make up what this program looks to build. So I really look forward to hearing comments and input from everyone, and community engagement like this is critical to being able to move forward a successful program. And so hopefully we get some questions answered from all of you if you have them today, and we get some good feedback, good dialogue. This will only be successful if we, the project team and program team, are talking less and we're hearing you talk more. So with that, I'm going to not make this much more long-winded and turn it back over to Monica to move the agenda forward. But thank you very much for participating, and I look forward to hearing some input during the breakout sessions.
Thank you, Frank. Well, so let's get to it. Let's take a quick look at how we'll spend the rest of our time this evening. You received today's meeting agenda via email, but here's a quick snapshot of key items we'll go through. So first, we'll spend a few minutes for introductions and quick icebreakers. This is our largest group. And of course, it's the coolest group, in my opinion, in my very unbiased opinion. So we'll have a few minutes to get to know each other a little bit better. We'll walk through a quick refresher of our meeting agreements and the community working group framework and roles that you walk through during the orientation. Now, I do see some folks here that were not able to attend the orientation, so we'll take a quick look so we're all on the same page and working from the same framework. Then our amazing technical staff, who's also here today, will present an overview of previous planning and existing conditions. After that, we'll take a quick break for about 10 minutes. And when we come back, we'll transition to breakout rooms where you will have time to share your input, your feedback and questions, which is the real reason why we're here today. After that, we'll come back to the full group for a quick debrief, some additional opportunities to stay engaged with the program, and quick reminders in advance of our next meeting. Now, it is important I call out that the team was very intentional about designing this agenda with the goal of giving everyone in this room an opportunity to understand the group roles, commitments, and values, give you an opportunity to discuss previous planning, what's changed, and existing conditions, give you a platform to share your input and feedback, like I said, both the good, what is currently working, the challenges, and identifying areas for improvement. We'll also provide you additional resources to stay connected and engaged with the program as we head into the rest of the timeline for the rest of the year and into 2022. Now, as you can see, we have a lot to unpack today. So it's important to note that The bulk of the time today will be spent discussing previous planning and existing conditions. And then at our next meeting, we will dive into transit access and community integration. You probably all have noticed that the date of our next meeting has changed from October 19th to now October 26th at the same time, 4:30 to 7 p.m. Next slide, please. Now, again, this is a quick refresher, but these are the meeting agreements we discussed during our orientation meeting. We want to make sure that we create an environment where we all feel like we can share our comments and our feedback. We want to make sure we put relationships first, that we keep focus on our common goal, that we notice any power dynamics in the room, that of course we create a space for multiple truths and norms. We want to be kind and be brave. And being brave can mean a number of different things. If you feel more comfortable sharing your input, we welcome your comments either via the chat box, or if you want to raise your hand. Again, if you look at the bottom of your screen, you should see a reactions icon, a smiley face with a plus signal at the top, and you can raise your hand if you have any questions. We'll make sure to monitor and get to as many questions as we can today. We also want to practice examining racially and other bias systems and processes and look for learning. I think that's a key one here. We want to hear your feedback. This is a time to listen. So please, we want to make sure that you are comfortable expressing yourself. At this time, I want to ask if anyone has anything else to add to these meeting agreements before we continue. Okay, well, with that, let's move on to our icebreaker. So as I mentioned earlier, in this room today, we have members of the Downtown Vancouver Community Working Group, a whole 24 participants in total. I see most of you here today. This is our largest community working group. We also have technical staff and 8 program partners. So we want to take a moment for all Downtown Vancouver participants to introduce themselves to the group. So here's what we want you to do. Please say your name, and if you're representing a specific organization, or you can say a community member of the working group, and let us know. This is the fun question. What is the one word that best describes your hope for the IBR program? Again, select one word. I know sometimes that can be difficult. If you have to say 2, go for it, but try to say one word that best describes your hope for the IBR program. And Jennifer will be capturing our words into a word cloud that we'll share afterwards, after we've all had a chance to say our one word. Again, this is for community working group members specifically, and then we'll have time a little later to introduce both program staff and partners. So I'll go ahead and start first. My name is Monica Santos Panacho. I am your facilitator today. And my word for what best describes my hope for the IBR program is accessibility. And I'm going to toss it over now to Tom.
Good evening, Tom Hagley, Vancouver Public Schools. My one word is quality, and toss it to Tamara.
Love that, Tom.
Hi, Tom. Great to see you, and so great to see so many people I recognize here today. I'm Tamara Fuller. I am a commercial real estate broker in the Vancouver region, Southwest Washington region. And my one word would be success.
Love that, Tamara. Why don't we toss it now to Saeed? Reminder that if you are joining us via phone, to unmute yourself, go ahead and press *6. But Saeed, we'll come back to you. Is Sunrise in the room?
Yes, I am. So Sunrise O'Mahony, and the hat I'm wearing today is with LULAC. And then I'm also a resident of downtown. And the best one word that I would say would be equity.
Love that. Thank you. How about Deanna? Do we have Deanna in the room? If not, let's jump over to Christine.
Hi, I'm Christine Whitney, and I'm representing Visit Vancouver, USA. And my one word would be collaborative.
Absolutely. Collaborative is such an important one. Benton, I see you. Why don't you go next?
Good evening. My name is Benton Strong. I work with Bigger. Our yard is just to the east of the bridge down on the river. And my one word I would say is jobs.
Love that too. Okay, Carmen. Carmen, we'll come back to you. Michael, are you in the, Michael Walker, this is?
Yes, thank you so much, Monica. My name is Michael Walker. I'm with the Vancouver's Downtown Association. And one word that comes to mind immediately is connectivity.
Absolutely. Thank you, Michael. Shauna?
It's Shona. My name is Shona Carter. I'm with the Community Foundation for Southwest Washington. And my one word is inclusive.
Thank you, Shona. Okay, let's take it over to Jeremy.
Good evening. I'm Jeremy White, a resident of downtown Vancouver near the waterfront. And my one word is modernization.
Ah, love that too. Okay, let's toss it over to Mary.
I'm Mary. I'm a resident of downtown Vancouver. And my one word that describes my hope for the program is sustainability.
Super important. Thank you, Mary. Jordan, do we have you in the room?
Yeah, good evening. My name is Jordan Bolt, and I'm a downtown resident as well. And my one word would be connection.
Excellent. And David?
Okay, it's my turn. My name is David Poland. I am a born and raised community member. And my one word that best describes me and my hope for the IBR program would be iconic.
Go big or go home, right? Okay, love that. Okay, let's try going back to Saeed. Saeed, are you in the room?
Yes, can you hear me?
Perfect, yes.
Yeah, sorry, I had a hard time getting my Zoom connection. And my name is Saeed Hajarizadeh. I work for the Vancouver Housing Authority. I'm downtown. I'm sorry, I missed the earlier part of this. I work downtown. And one word that describes my hope for the IBR program is, I don't know, get her done. That's one word.
Thank you. Okay. Claire, I see you're here in the room. Do you want to go next? Claire, we'll circle back to you. How about Elizabeth?
I'm Elizabeth Harris, community member, and my word was interconnection.
Ah, love that. Okay, let's toss it over to the other Michael in the room, Michael Payne.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yes, go for it.
Cool. Thank you. My name is Mike Payne. I'm a member of the Transportation and Mobility Commission, longtime commuter over the I-5 bridge. And my word is resolution.
Excellent. Okay, Marjorie, are you in the room?
Marjorie Liddell, Planning Commission for Vancouver. My one word is efficient.
Straight to it. Love it. Okay. Galina, are you in the room? Galina Burley? Okay. Let's go to, let's see, is Mickey in the room?
Hi, I'm Michi.
Oh,
I'm with Killian Pacific, and I would describe my one word as future looking. That might be 2 words with a hyphen.
That's totally allowed. Thank you, Michi. And now I want to call out our 3 community advisory group members. So
really quickly, can we have Claire try to introduce again with one of our Zoom managers unmuting? Jennifer, Andrew, can you do that for Claire? Is Claire unmuted?
1 second.
I'm asking Claire to unmute, but I cannot unmute Claire myself.
Okay, we'll keep working with you on that, Claire, in the chat. Sorry about that.
Yeah, and Claire, feel free to type in your word on the chat too, and Jennifer can capture that as well. So let's go back to, like I said, our 3 community advisory group members. Let's see if do we have Michelle in the room? Okay, let's try Jasmine.
Hi, sorry, I had to find my mouse. My name is Jasmine Tolbert. I use she, her pronouns. I am the president for the NAACP of Vancouver, and that is also who I'm representing today. Outside of that, I also serve as the Human Resources Director for YWCA Clark County, which is also located in the downtown corridor. If I could describe one word that I'm hopeful for here is I would say access, easy access. I'll use my 2 word. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And I'll just say, Claire says her word is multimodal. Thank you. Now, do we have Whitney on the line? Okay. Looks like we can go back to Carmen. Carmen, are you able to unmute yourself? No worries. If not, I see you've also popped it into the chat box. So Carmen Carballo is representing the Esther Schwartz Neighborhood Association, and her word is unity. Excellent. At this time, please let me know if I missed anyone, but I believe, oh, Stacy, did you have a chance to go, Stacy?
No, I didn't. I'm Stacy Graham. I'm with the Historic Trust, and I'm also a downtown resident. And my word is strategic.
Perfect one to end on. At this time, if I missed anyone, I believe we got everybody from the community group participants, but if I missed anyone, please speak now as Jennifer pulls up the word cloud. Love this. Iconic. Looks like accessibility, quality, collaborative, connectivity, equity, and inclusive are all some keywords that pop up here, which is great to see because I think these are all important words that the program is definitely keeping top of mind. And I'm so glad to see them all here because that is the reason why you're all here today, is to ensure that your feedback and input is also taken into account. So with that, as I said, we do have additional IBR program staff in the room with us, including our 2 technical staff members who will be presenting later during this meeting, Brad Phillips and Tom Bennett. if you want to wave so folks can see who you are. And last but certainly not least, tuning in this evening, we have representatives from the following 8 IBR program partner agencies, and those are CTRAN, TriMet, City of Vancouver, City of Portland, RTC, Metro, the Port of Portland, and the Port of Vancouver. Now, many of them are in attendance here in the Zoom meeting to support the conversation, while others are tuning in to the YouTube live stream. So with that, as I said before, you received this information during your orientation meeting, but just as a reminder, this is the framework for the interstate bridge replacement community working groups. The community advisory group members, you heard the names just a moment ago, are Michelle Brewer, Jasmine Tolbert, and Whitney Mossback. These members are participating on the community working groups and providing a direct linkage to relay perspective and considerations in specific interest areas. Now, the community working groups, there are a total of 4 of them. We are the Downtown Vancouver Community Working Group, so hopefully you're all in the right meeting. We also have active transportation, multimodal commuter, and Hayden Island Marine Drive. Participants, as you have been able to tell, include at-large community members and organizational stakeholders that provide insight on specific topics. Each group will meet twice in 2021. So today is our first meeting, and our next meeting is next month on the 26th. We do not anticipate additional meetings, but we may reconvene on an as-needed basis. Next slide, we'll be talking about the role of the community working groups. It's important I call out a few things for additional context. The program receives community feedback in a variety of ways. This is one. However, other ways include surveys, listening sessions, direct email comments, and community presentations, and more. The use of community groups is, like I said, one method the program is utilizing to solicit feedback from the community at large. This feedback is used to inform stakeholders and help decision makers reach consensus. I do want to underscore that we don't expect you to be design experts. We are interested in your personal experience and in your perspective. As you can tell, you were specifically selected because you either work, live, or play in downtown Vancouver. Now, before we turn it over to our technical staff, Brad and Tom, let's take a very, very quick look at the program timeline. We recognize the good work created through the previous planning effort, the CRC, the Columbia River Crossing, and we want to utilize past work that still meets our purpose and need. We want to analyze what has changed and update the design options accordingly. Community engagement is critical throughout this entire process. So as you can see now through November 2021, so now through the end of the year, essentially, a lot of the development of preliminary design concepts is going to happen. It is important that equity and climate considerations are embedded within design concepts so that as we move on to early 2022, that is when collaboration with partners and stakeholders will lead to reach consensus on IBR multimodal design solution. Now, later this fall, in the process of updating information and getting to that design concept, we will be conducting a broader community engagement effort seeking feedback on potential design concepts. And methods for that include an online open house, more community briefings, and a broader public survey. So again, this is one way in which the team is collecting community feedback. More is to come. This feedback will be shared with program partners and stakeholders to help develop an IBR solution. As you can see here, that will be delivered in early 2022. Now, I'm going to turn the virtual mic over to Brad Phillips and Tom Bennett. Brad and Tom, the stage is all yours.
Thanks, Monica. Quick introductions. My name is Brad Phillips. I am leading the Civil and Highway Design team for the IBR program. Tom? Off mute, Tom.
You? I'm Tom Bennett. I'm urban designer, urban planner, and the urban design technical lead for the project.
Go ahead and go to the next slide. So this program has been under consideration for quite some time, which concluded in 2013 with a defined program that was put on the shelf. And while we are starting from there, we are also making significant changes based on your input and everybody's input to define the IBR program. And so it's important to understand some of that past work that was done and how it can help us move forward. The first thing we need to understand is there have been some significant changes since 2013. Notably on the transit side, Bus Rapid Transit, noted or called the Vine, currently has one line in operation, and we expect a total of 3 lines in operation that this program will coordinate with. There's been significant development, including the wonderful downtown waterfront, as well as several other developments throughout the downtown area that will affect how this program considers the footprint through this area and what it wants to connect to. There are some common design assumptions that we are thinking about moving forward with. The program is replacing the interstate bridge over the Columbia, and when we do that, it is expected to be west of the existing bridge. There will be a shared use path on the bridge to connect the regional connections, non-motorized connections from downtown Vancouver to Portland and the 40-mile loop and beyond. In addition to that, local pedestrian and bicycle improvements will be included. Notably in Vancouver, there's numerous connections east-west across I-5, and those will all include pedestrian bicycle improvements, as well as possibly some new connections. The program defined an extension of Main Street to the waterfront and extending that downtown grid under the railroad tracks to the waterfront, and that's still assumed to be part of this program. The community connector, which was envisioned just to the south of Evergreen, is still under consideration to be included in this program. And there will be a high capacity transit connection connecting Vancouver and Portland. Should be noted that the graphic on the right is the representation of what was defined during the previous planning process and what was the concluded program definition in 2013. Moving forward, there are community values, some of which are new, that we want to incorporate and help us define what the IBR program is. Accessibility and mobility, safety, property and land use compatibility, natural resource and cultural heritage is very important in this area and needs to be honored. And how can this program respond to considerations of equity and climate? I'm sure there's lots more things, and we want to hear from you this evening of what is important to you for us to include in our designs as we consider moving this program forward. Next slide.
Okay, thanks, Brad. I'm going to walk you through the
map of the study area, which for the purposes of this conversation, we divided into 3 sections just to make them more manageable. These are the maps that will also be in the breakout sessions that we'll use to talk about the different areas. The 3 sections are downtown and the waterfront, as you see here. Moving northward, there's Evergreen Boulevard, which will go up to 4th Payne, and then 4th Payne to 39th Street. So starting at downtown Vancouver and the waterfront, what this map is showing you is kind of the basic land use areas, major civic destinations in blue, called out with the blue circles, parks and open space, called out in green, and other kind of retail or recreational destinations in the red dots. The salmon colored ones that show up variously are different academic institutions as well. The other thing this map is showing you is the existing crossing points, and that'll be a real key that we want to talk about tonight, is the quality and where these crossings actually happen. So existing crossings currently across I-5 include Columbia Way at the waterfront, Evergreen Boulevard, and Mill Plain Boulevard in this section of the map. And as Brad mentioned earlier, the program is also evaluating the Main Street extension to the waterfront, which is the blue arrow at the bottom here, pointing north-south, and the community connector south of Evergreen Boulevard, the blue arrow going east-west here, that would connect the new Vancouver Library with the Fort Vancouver Park. And then also on this map, the red vertical line represents Main Street, and the yellow lines represent the Vine bus service. Solid is the current bus lines, and the dash are future. The yellow diamonds also indicate other bus stops located within the study area. So next slide, please. So moving on to Evergreen Boulevard and the North Plain Boulevard area. Again, existing crossings are at 4th Payne, McLaughlin Boulevard, Mill Plain Boulevard, and Evergreen, as we've discussed before. Here, some of the big areas are the academic institutions on the east side, as well as the parks and open space. And we've got residential neighborhoods on both sides of I-5 in this location as well. And next slide, please. And then finally, moving to the top of our map, 4th Payne Boulevard to 39th Street, we've got existing crossings, again at 4th Payne Boulevard, 29th Street, and 33rd Street. 39th Street is also a crossing across I-5, but we didn't include that as an arrow simply because it's not a direct neighborhood connection like these other ones are, but it certainly is something that we can talk about in the breakout sessions. Another important area, because of the large residential neighborhoods on both sides of the freeway, Carter Park, Shumway, Rose Village, Arnada. And I think I will leave it there. And Monica, next slide, if you want to go to the questions.
Perfect. Thank you, Tom and Brad. So these are the breakout room. Oh, when we break into our breakout rooms, these are the questions that the team really wants to spend some really good time with you in getting your perspective and your feedback. Essentially, we want to take a look at the good, identifying what currently works well, specifically how the current conditions allow you to get to where you need or want to go. We also want to spend a little bit of time talking about the challenges, calling out any specific areas that currently cause significant traffic flow, access, efficiency, or safety issues. And of course, this is critically important for the program. We want to hear your insights on any areas for improvement. Do the current conditions allow you to get you to where you want to go using the means that you need and want to get there? That includes transit, bike, car, walk, etc. Are there places currently that you can't access or that you want better access to? That will be your opportunity to share that insight with the team. And we're going to go ahead, since our agenda is moving along a little faster than anticipated. Let's go ahead and break into rooms now. We're going to split you into 2 breakout rooms. You've been automatically assigned to your room. One of the rooms is going to start looking at the images that you just saw going south to north, and the other group will start looking at the images going north to south. And seeing that we have a little bit of extra time, we will very likely get through it all in each of the group sessions. So you will have an opportunity to share feedback on all of the 3 images that you just saw. So I'm going to give the team a little bit of time to get us all split into our groups. We'll spend probably 40 to 50 minutes in these breakout rooms. We'll review the maps that were just presented and go through the questions that I just walked you through. So Jennifer and team, I'll let you break us up, and you'll get a prompt on your screens, and just make sure that you join the group. Let's do it.
Mike, did you see a prompt on your screen to join a breakout room? Oh, there he goes.
I did not see one. Did that mean I wasn't supposed to go?
Andrew, can you add Frank to
Yes, 1 second.
this room, please?
Andrew or Jennifer, is there any chance you could put me in the other breakout room? Ryan and Casey were there. I just wanted to go support Brad if I could.
Yeah, can do. 1 second.
Thank you.
Hi, Ryan. Were you in a breakout room?
Okay, I see we're all trickling back into the big room now. So we are at 6:04 p.m. at this time. So once everybody comes into the main room back again, we're going to go ahead and take just a quick 10-minute break. Go refill your waters, maybe for some of you, your coffees. And we'll see you back here at 6, let's do 6:15. And we'll regroup to do a quick debrief of the conversations we had in the small groups just now. So for those of you that are continuing to trickle in, we're going to take a quick break and we'll see you back here at 6:15. Okay? Thank you so much. Okay, I see some of you just came back in from the room. So just wanted to restate that we're going to take a quick small break for 10 minutes. So go refill your waters, your coffee, and we'll see you back here at 6:15. See you then. Okay, almost ready to come back. This is your official 60-second warning. I see cameras turning back on. Thank you. There's more lovely faces. Welcome back, folks. I hope your session was as vocal as ours was. We went down to the last second. So I guess it was a good thing our meeting was running a little bit ahead of schedule and we were able to catch up. So as people are coming back in, Jennifer is going to show us our next slide. And as I mentioned before going into the break, this is now the time to hear highlights from the conversations that just happened. We went through the 3 questions that we discussed in each of the groups, and I'm really looking forward to hearing some of the highlights in each of the groups. We had a great conversation, so I can't wait to hear. I heard from the grapevine that Lisa and Tom's team also had a very, very powerful conversation. So as we hear these highlights, I do want to encourage the rest of the group to please use the chat box. We will capture your feedback there as well. And even if you hear some of the highlights that you agree or even have additional commentary on, please share it in the box. This feedback is going to be super, super helpful for the group, especially as we think about the concepts that we want to share with you in the next meeting. So again, use the chat box to either say, yes, I agree with that point, or add on to that point. We encourage you to do that. And at this time, I'd like to bring up Tom and Lisa. And I know Lisa captured really good notes from that conversation, so she'll share some of those highlights. Lisa, take it away.
Thanks, Monica. It was a really good session, and I was very quickly trying to move notes over so that I could make sure that we captured everything. We didn't necessarily follow the questions, so I just tried to put comments in where I thought maybe they might fit the best. So there was a lot of discussion. We actually went downtown Vancouver and the waterfront last. So we started up north and then kind of made our way to the waterfront. And the questions around the community connector, I think there was a lot of excitement around the concept, but more questions than we had answers to right now. So there's a few different comments relative to the community connection. There was also quite a few comments in this section and in the next section of the map around the parking scenarios and some of the lack of parking available, potential solutions with shuttles, planning better for queuing of the traffic, and ensuring that bikes and pedestrians have safe connections. And that we're building some of these connections across I-5 that make sense and that are useful to get from one side to the other. Let me see if there's anything else to... Tom, do you have any other? Please feel free to kind of weigh in before I move us too quickly.
No, I think the connection to the waterfront, the Main Street extension, was seen as a great idea. And just in terms of the amount of walking and cycling that's happening in the downtown, and particularly using Columbia as the route coming in and out. And I just to echo that concern about the amount of automobile traffic coming into the downtown core, and making sure that the conflict between that and the ped and bike is addressed.
Okay. All right, so let's go to the next area. So this was the Evergreen Boulevard to 4th Plain Boulevard. And there was definitely some areas where it worked well. So McLaughlin, generally good to bike on, connects well across the city. East of I-5, getting onto I-5 by car is great. There was some discussion about walking Columbia Street and being able to see the use of bicycles. There was a discussion, again, some of these I think could probably be comments for all of the different areas of the map, but businesses that offer incentives, that was brought up. One business was mentioned, currently does provide monthly bus passes to employees who demonstrate that they're not driving their cars so many times during the month. Again, parking continued to be a comment within this this area of the map as well. Let's see.
Oh, sorry, Lisa.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say this area seemed particularly a barrier for east-west movement.
Yeah. Yeah, there's so many great comments in it. It's hard to capture all of the conversation in the group. Anything else here that we feel like we need to make sure we mention?
Yeah, I mean, I think the big themes were just the desire for safe cycling for people of all ages, as well as walking, but cycling was a big part of the conversation. And the transit connections and the transit, you know, making sure that there's convenient access to transit that's reliable and can get people, you know, where they need to go when they need to go.
Terrific. There's some great comments in the chat that I'll add to the Jamboard as well. Let's see, the next section of the map, there was quite a bit of discussion. Like I said, we started here, so we did spend a lot of time really kind of talking about areas where there needs to be better access. Transit was an area that was talked about quite a bit here, just in terms of the ability to use transit, the reliability of transit, and the access. There was quite a few comments just about where there tends to be backups and traffic near that Safeway area headed east, waiting on Main Street. Hospital traffic is challenging, difficult to access the Burnt Bridge Trail, lack of bike lanes. There seem to be a lot of areas for improvement in this specific part of the map that we were looking at. And like I said, I think we focused quite a bit on the transit piece in this first section, but those transit comments could be copied to all the other sections of the map because those themes resonated throughout each of kind of the map section.
Right.
Tom?
Right. I think there was talking about east-west connections. 33rd was seen as a very traffic-heavy street, particularly because of hospital traffic. I think, man, have I got that? No, I guess that would be right. 29th seemed like a more desirable connection because it was more neighborhood oriented.
There is so much rich conversation because we're both trying to take notes and type into the Jamboard. I guess I would just say there's probably additional comments that the group might want to share if there's time. I would certainly invite other members of the group that Tom and I were in to share anything that really resonated for them. But I know you need to move to the other group. So I would just put a pin in it that there was some great conversation in this group and some really good lived experiences that provided good feedback.
Oh, I have one more point, Lisa, that in terms of the bicycling, there was some question of not always feeling like the routes were well understood, where it is safe to bicycle, and that the painted lanes might not be enough to feel safe when riding on those streets.
Yeah, I think that might, yes. I did know the painting of the bike lanes, but now I can't find it a painted bike lane doesn't make me feel safe. The
Yeah.
bollards feel safer, limits access for those who aren't driving to get places. A little cleanup on the Jamboard. I'm gonna need to do that. Appreciate everyone's comments. And if we didn't capture all of them as we were listening to the conversation, please drop it in the chat so that I can make sure that I move it over so that we capture it correctly.
Thank you, Lisa and Tom. It sounds like you had a really well-rounded conversation. And again, thank you to those of you who have also jumped in on the chat box, David, Carmen, Sunrise. We are capturing your comments as well. Now I'd like to turn it over to Brad and Katie. That was the group I joined as well. I think there's a lot of similarities. For this group, I think we looked at the entire area and went question by question. But Katie, do you want to kick us off?
Sure. I'll encourage you and Brad to jump in if I've missed something. I was frantically trying to take down notes, and like Monica mentioned, there were similar themes as similar to what Lisa said from their group. And as Monica was saying, we more just talked about the general area, I would say, question by question. And so the answers are not necessarily associated with the correct question. But highlights in general, there was a theme about the inadequate safety environment for people to walk or bike across the bridge. That came up in many different times in many different ways. It was also mentioned how dangerous it is getting off the bridge. And this is again pedestrian and bicyclists. Any way you try to get out of downtown to northbound I-5 is really frustrating, which is interesting, right? Where our main congestion is I-5 south. But as far as actually the navigation for autos to get on I-5 north, there was a lot of conversation about the extra time that takes. 39th Street, getting southbound on I-5 is terrible. The access points to get on and off I-5 to get downtown are dangerous, frustrating, and very time consuming. There was talk about the disrepair of the sidewalks in downtown Vancouver due to overgrowth of the trees and just age, and generally how that's not consistent with the way that we want the infrastructure in our city to be reflecting our community values. There was a philosophical question/comment posed about adding capacity in lanes, and is that really the direction where we want to put our money and resource into for this program, or does there also need to be a high emphasis placed on providing additional multimodal options? Let's see. It was interesting. There was talk just about the danger for people who bike and attempt to follow the law and use the bike lanes that are provided, as well as or the street, and that oftentimes in the downtown core, people are using the sidewalks just to feel safe. And this was similar to the comment I heard you make, Lisa, about there was encouragement for the program team, specifically active transportation leads, to look into some of those different tools and creative designs that are being used in other places that could suggest some type of a barrier perhaps in a bike lane, or there's different treatments that can be done just besides painting a stripe and calling it a bike lane. Let's talk about, someone mentioned an area, I think it was closer to Uptown, where bike lanes have been put in, but it was in the place of on-street parking, and concern was expressed about the removal of that on-street parking, and that those that are older or have a disability really rely on that parking if they are to own a home right in that location. And so it really brought up, again, a broader discussion about gentrification at the cost of trying to do something good, like provide another multimodal option, but really bringing that awareness to the group. Similarly, it was interesting, there was a conversation about bike lanes and how we accommodate those in our planning, but that we need to have an awareness for the way that technology is continuing to change, and that micro mobility devices are becoming much more commonplace, and that we will start to see those being used in places like downtown, and the safety component of that due to these vehicles being much smaller, and what type of accommodations may need to be considered when we're designing this program. Okay, I think that's enough for this one. I talked a lot. Sorry, guys.
No, that's great, Katie.
I'll keep going here. This was really talking about great access getting on I-5 South, access to the bridge and crossing the bridge as a cyclist, extremely challenging. This includes biking on waterfront ways. So I wanted to bring that up. And this just really called out some specific congestion points and troubled traffic movements. And so I won't read all of those. Couple other interesting points that were touched on. There was talk of the Transit Transfer Center being moved out of downtown Vancouver, and how that does prove challenging for transit riders in downtown with layovers and not having really a place to go, especially with lack of some real-time digital information to make them aware if a bus is running behind. There was a comment about the flashing red lights that have been put in at some of the intersections downtown, and that it appears there appears to be some user confusion with those lights, and that someone has witnessed autos often running them because they're unclear about how they're supposed to be navigating through that technology. More kind of specific traffic points. There was a comment about the Vine spacing. That's the bus rapid transit, of course, downtown, and how some of the spacing in one area as the Vine is traveling out of the downtown core towards Clark College. I believe the gentleman was referencing maybe along Fort Vancouver Way, how in that area, the spacing the bus stop spacing is now further apart than it used to be when it was served by the local route, and how that can be difficult to get places if you're trying to use it as a local service. Yeah, okay, let's go to the next one. Oh, goodness. Let's see if I can just call out anything that was more unusual, maybe. This was something I heard Lisa speak to and is fascinating, is that there was mention of a need for maybe a transit circulator through the downtown core, and to provide kind of just that immediate, very local transit service right there downtown at the waterfront. And then there was mention about how there's been some ingenuity with private firms downtown. Specifically, some of us have experienced probably what LSW has done with their little golf cart service there. And so that's just something kind of food for thought as we're thinking about transit improvements downtown. Parking is an issue for customers, clients downtown, specifically on street, but also there was talk about how when I-5 so congested and it's backing up into the core that it actually can block access to those parking garages. Talked about, what else, guys?
Katie, I think you've done a really awesome job capturing a ton of the highlights that we discussed. One of the items that kind of came up, or that I want to reiterate on the good side, on the first question, talking about what works well, is the access coming out of the bridge to downtown. That was noted a couple of times in our conversation as something that is working really, really well right now, and hope that it continues in the next iteration. Brad, did you have anything that we may have missed?
I think Katie covered it pretty well.
Amazing. Thank you so much. That was a lot. And I see a few more comments, including a pretty important one from Claire that we will capture for our notes as well. As you can see, this is all insights and information that the team is going to take on and use for decision making as the program continues to move forward. And in particular, as we think about the content that we'll deliver, like I said before, at our next meeting, where we will touch or dive a little bit more into transit, which at least in our team with Brad and Katie, we did hear some commentary already that's going to be helpful as we think about what to bring for the next meeting. So now Jennifer is going to share just a few wrap-up slides that we have for you. We've crossed the 2-hour mark, and I think we're going to be able to give you some time back this evening. But I do want to call out some additional engagement opportunities. As you heard before, one of the outcomes for this meeting is we do want to arm you with ways in which you can continue to stay engaged with the IBR program. We have 2 opportunities coming up. The Community Advisory Group is meeting on October 7th, and the Equity Advisory Group is meeting on October 18th. You can also, and this is probably the easiest way to stay informed and hear about the latest and greatest information from the IBR program, and that is to follow us on our social media accounts and sign up for our newsletter. I know the team has very, very active social media channels where you can hear the latest and greatest information. You'll also be the first to hear on any upcoming opportunity to continue to share your feedback with the group. Where you can sign up for the newsletter is at interstatebridge.org/news. And I know that a lot of you had additional commentary to share via the chat box, and some of you even noted that you want to share some additional resources that you want the group to take into consideration as the program moves forward. So we encourage you to please email any additional comments, any additional perspective that you want to bring to info@interstatebridge.org. Again, that email is info@interstatebridge.org. Now, today's meeting recordings and materials will be available on the website. And our site is interstatebridge.org/community-working-groups. And we also have a program information library, and that can be accessed at interstatebridge.org/library. Next slide, please. Lastly, I want to quickly remind you that the next Downtown Vancouver Community Working Group will be meeting on October 26th at 4:30 p.m. That is a change in date. And I saw that Bernie already sent out that new calendar hold. So you should have it in your calendars now. But if you don't, please don't hesitate to reach out to us, and we'll make sure you get that on your calendars. Again, that date is October 26th, and we'll be meeting from 4:30 to 7 p.m. at the same time. Again, the topic will hone in at that time will be the review of design options, transit access, and community integration. So with that, I just want to say thank you to every single one of you for your time today. We appreciate and value your perspective, your comments, and your feedback that you've shared with us today. As you've heard me say a few times today, your feedback is important to inform the decisions as the program timeline continues to move forward. Also, I want to send a special thank you to our ASL interpreters, Kristen and Mary, as well as our captioner, Michelle. Special shout out to our IBR program staff, including our wonderful presenters this evening, Brad and Tom, our other facilitators, Katie and Lisa, and all of the staff behind the scenes that make this work possible. Thank you. Thank you. See you again on October 26th and have a great rest of your night.